Good morning. Before we begin, if we should experience another pop-up storm like we did unfortunately this morning, which we won't, please immediately follow the emergency response team guidance that will be given from this stage or by use of our emergency alert system. If we should have lightning in our area, we'll be forced to postpone the ceremony, seek shelter, and then reconvene. The emergency alert system will convey important information as needed if we should encounter this problem, which we won't. Before this morning's invocation, I think it's appropriate to have a moment of silence for our brothers and sisters here in Virginia who experienced tragedy in Virginia Beach yesterday, a problem that's becoming all too common. Let us give a moment of silence for those families, those individuals who are recovering today in Virginia Beach. Let us pray. Gracious Creator God, we know you by many names, but ours is an existence that is clearly made possible through your creation. In this great institution of higher education, we are taught a balance of faith and reason, understanding that we cannot explain everything that is around us, and knowing that our minds have developed in a way that continues to question everything along our path. We acknowledge today the sad fact that there are those within our individual journeys who are not present here today to celebrate the many accomplishments of our graduates. Those who, because of illness or distance or death, can only be with us in spirit. We welcome them here today as we seek to feel their presence among us in celebration. Today we will give thanks and we will celebrate accomplishments, individual and collective. We will hear motivating words and shake congratulatory hands. And what has taken many years to accomplish will be over before we know it. Help us to pause, to listen, and to relish this time together. Let us focus on the true celebration, the celebration of lifelong learning, and all that it holds for us in the future. Now bless us all as we are assembled here today, for ours is a special bond. Members of one community, Lemon and Black, forever united as one large extended family. Jackets yesterday, jackets today, and jackets tomorrow. And all of God's people said, Amen. If you will remain standing as you are able for the national anthem.
Good morning. You may be seated. Now, despite the warnings, I'm telling you, I see some sun, and I think this is going to turn into another beautiful day in the center of the universe. What do you all think? Yes. Good morning, I'm Sue Schick, and I am a proud graduate of Randolph-Macon College's class of 1984. And I'm honored to serve as the newly appointed chair of the college's Board of Trustees. I am privileged to welcome you this morning to our 2019 commencement ceremony. And today, I have to tell you, I have an even more important role because today I'm also mom. And so as my son Will graduates today, I join all of you proud moms and dads and family members in awe of the accomplishments of our graduates and with exhilaration for their next steps as they leave Randolph-Macon College. Today is a great day in the life of the college, and rain or shine, it's a great day to be a Yellow Jacket. Let me start by thanking everyone here, students, parents, families, alumni, faculty, staff, friends, and distinguished guests, first for a little bit of patience so that we could have this patch of sunshine here this morning, but also for the many meaningful ways that you support and nurture this wonderful college. And as we think about the preparations this morning, will you join me in thanking our physical plan and housekeeping and facilities? They did a lot for us this morning and in the weeks leading up to it to make this be a very special day. Class of 2019, I bring you special greetings from the Board of Trustees, many of whom are sitting with me on the stage today. These board members, like everyone in attendance today, are here to celebrate you and to congratulate you for your achievements in the classrooms, in community organizations, on the courts and athletic fields, throughout our communities, our nation, and even globally. You are a credit to this fine institution, and we are proud to welcome you as lifelong members of the family of Randolph-Macon graduates. We take special pride in installing the class of 2019 into that noble company of Randolph-Macon educated men and women. To the members of the class of 2019, as you conclude your last moments as students here, I have this one charge to you. Use your education not only to enrich your own lives, but also the lives you touch as citizens of our global society. Your liberal arts education has imbued you with rare gifts and values, and if you allow them to do so, they will pay dividends throughout your lives. Promise those who are here to cheer you on, and promise yourselves that you will use these gifts and values wisely and unselfishly. Now for just a moment, let's focus our attention away from today's graduates and focus on a very special group that graduated a while ago. This morning we have with us a special group of alumni known as the Boynton Society, whom we would like to honor. These are members of the classes that graduated from Randolph-Macon at least 50 years ago. This year, this distinguished group will induct the class of 1969 into its organization immediately following this ceremony, bringing the total membership to 1,547. And in fact, I'd like to take a moment to recognize and acknowledge a very special member of this most elite group, our recently retired board chair, Alan Rashkin. Since leaving Randolph-Macon, the members of the Boynton Society have remembered the lasting benefits of their education here, and their appreciation has been tangibly expressed through their engagement with the college and their extremely generous support of Randolph-Macon. Throughout the life of the college, this group of loyal Yellow Jackets has contributed nearly $153 million to the college. With the members of the Boynton Society in the class of 1969 who are here, and I think many of them are up there on the balcony. Could you stand so that we could honor and show our appreciation? Again, I thank all of you who share this great day with us, whether your connection to the college has spanned 4 years or fewer, or 50 years or more, or somewhere in between. We're glad that you're joining us today on this festive and important occasion, a milestone in the lives of our graduates and their families. I know you will enjoy this wonderful sunny morning, so please sit back and relax, and let me get this ceremony underway by introducing our president, Robert Lindgren, and our provost, Dr. William Franz, who will begin the presentation of our honorary degree. President Lindgren.
I would like to call on Dr. James Foster, Professor of Biology, and invite Dr. Arthur McKinley Reynolds to come forward between President Lindgren and me.
Beginning his undergraduate studies at the age of 16, Dr. Arthur McKinley Reynolds, Jr. graduated from Randolph-Macon College in 1947. Dr. Reynolds went on to earn his MD at the Medical College of Virginia, now known as VCU School of Medicine. He served our country with distinction in the United States Navy, including a deployment as a flight surgeon during the Korean War. Following his military service, he became an ophthalmologist and operated a successful private practice in McLean, Virginia, while at the same time served on the faculty at Georgetown Medical Center. During his career, he served as president of the Northern Virginia Academy of Ophthalmology and as a board member of the American Academy of Ophthalmology. He was actively engaged in government relations advocacy on behalf of ophthalmologists and patients. Dr. Reynolds has continued to be deeply involved in Randolph-Macon and is one of our most loyal supporters. In 2008, he and his wife Janet established the Arthur McKinley Reynolds Lecture Series in memory of his parents, Arthur McKinley Reynolds Sr., RMC class of 1925, and Susan Minton Reynolds. Featured lecturers in this series have been nationally recognized leaders and personalities who have spoken on a wide range of societal and governmental issues of the day. To honor his continued and outstanding commitment to his alma mater, Dr. Reynolds received the College Society of Alumni's Distinguished Service Award in 2010 and the Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award in 2012. Today, we are very proud to bestow the honorary degree Doctor of Humanities on an exceptionally dedicated alumnus, Dr. Arthur McKinley Reynolds, Jr.
Dr. Reynolds, we honor you for your outstanding service to our country, to the practice of medicine, and to Randolph-Macon College. Your generosity has propelled thoughtful dialogue on our campus for now more than a decade. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Faculty and Trustee Committee, and upon the vote of the Randolph-Macon College Board of Trustees, by virtue of the authority vested in me, I award you the degree Doctor of Humanities, with all rights, privileges, and honors appertaining thereto. Congratulations. It was September 1965, a momentous time in our nation's history. The Vietnam War was escalating, and just 1 month earlier, the historic Voting Rights Act had been passed by Congress. Likewise, the astronauts on Gemini 5 spacecraft had just spent 8 days in orbit, a new record for spaceflight. And September 17, 1965 was opening day here for the 135th entering class at Randolph-Macon. 1965 was a year to remember for the significant events that happened in history for sure, but also because of the people who were shaped by those times and by this college. Those who became leaders and have gone on to make a positive difference in our nation, in our world, and most especially here at Randolph-Macon. The class that started in the fall of 1965 is replete with such people. What they accomplished in their 4 years as students and in all the decades since is cause for great celebration. And that is what we are also doing this weekend. As Chair Schick informed us, the illustrious class of '69 is celebrating their 50th reunion along with you. And one of the most extraordinary people among them is a man who is sitting just behind me. In 1965, he too was a freshman, hailing from the Tidewater area, the first in his family to attend Randolph-Macon. He would not be the last. It's hard to imagine a time when the name Rashkind was not synonymous with Randolph-Macon College, but such was the case in 1965, and Alan Rashkind began college life on our campus just like any other freshman. But it did not take him long to distinguish himself. Everyone knows Alan as a superb writer, and his writing skill only matched by his truly brilliant oratory skills. Not to put too much pressure on you, but Alan is indeed a master communicator in every sense of that word. And Alan attributes those skills to his education at Randolph-Macon, learning from some of the greats, beloved professors Howard Davis, Ira Andrews, and Buster Ward. He became a political science major and emerged as a recognized leader on our campus, serving as president of his fraternity, captain of the debate team, president of the Council of Fraternity Presidents, and a member of several distinguished honorary societies. Not surprisingly, his college friends from those days describe Alan as serious and focused, highly engaged, and effective leader. According to fellow classmate and trustee Skip Vikness, Alan's seriousness and focus were, quote, unique, especially compared to the rest of us in the late 60s. What is more, Alan always punctuated his leadership roles with his characteristic and beloved sense of humor, a gift that instantly puts everyone around him at ease. Those qualities have led to the deep friendships and rich connections he developed here and endure until this day. After graduation, Alan entered the University of Virginia School of Law and continued an education that was formative to his career as a trial lawyer. But to hear Alan tell it, as rewarding as his experience at UVA Law was, it was not the most important thing that happened to him in Charlottesville. You see, in his first semester of law school, a mutual friend set him up on a blind date with a wonderful young woman named Suzette DeBell. And Alan invited her on that date to where else? Randolph-Macon for homecoming. That was the fall of 1969, just a few months after he had graduated. And the rest, as they say, is history. Alan and Suzette have now been married for more than 47 happily and joy-filled years. And for everyone who have had the good fortune to spend time with Alan and Suzette, we know they have established as their life purpose giving back to others, and they do it so very well. And how deeply fortunate it is for Randolph-Macon to have been the recipient of so much of the Rashkind family's extreme generosity, immense time, and rich wisdom. But Alan would be the very first to tell you the Rashkind generosity did not, in fact, start with his generation, but was initiated by his beloved parents, who set an impressive example. You remember I said earlier he was the first to attend, but not the last. 2 years after Alan enrolled, his brother Michael started here as a freshman, and the two brothers inspired such great love and loyalty in their parents, Eleanor and Julian Rashkin, that Julian became one of the very first members and presidents of our parents' board on campus. And then after years of service, Julian became a member of the college's board of trustees, serving for 12 years. And in 1989, the Rashkin family established the innovative Rashkin Faculty Development Fund to promote research and advanced study by our tenure-track faculty. To date, this fund has provided over 170 awards to support those dedicated faculty, totaling more than $1 million, and you graduates have benefited enormously from the research conducted by our distinguished faculty, supported by those Rashkin grants. Alan also took enormous pride serving as an adjunct law professor at William & Mary for 11 years. And to this day, he still hears from his former students there as they consider him a phenomenal mentor. So that's what Alan does. He finds threads of connections and spends time to make those connections deep and authentic and meaningful. And he's always been connected here at Randolph-Macon. At a time when many would consider themselves too busy to serve, as he was working long hours as a successful lawyer, earning countless legal accolades with his name appearing on numerous super lawyer lists, and raising, along with Suzette, their two young sons, Graham and Doug, Alan still stepped up. He first served as the president of our Alumni Society, and in 1991 came one of his proudest moments when his father, Julian, swore him in as a member of our Board of Trustees, followed by another very proud moment in 1992 when his son, Graham, enrolled here as a freshman. In Alan's 29 years of great service and leadership on our board, including the last 10 as chair, he has fostered countless threads of connection with his fellow board members, college administrators, and faculty and staff and students and alumni. He has certainly been one of the most effective and deeply respected chairs we have ever had. His thoughtful leadership, chairing our board, has been enormously effective. Our capital campaign, Building Extraordinary, was conceived and executed under his watch, greatly surpassing the campaign goal. $125 million was given generously by over 12,000 alumni, staff, faculty, students, parents, and friends of the college. And this campaign made possible 14 new and renovated facilities, 3 significant acquisitions, 92 new endowed scholarships, and significant contributions to 160 other scholarships, all of which have benefited each and every student here today. There are, of course, many people who deserve thanks for all of those accomplishments, and indeed, Alan is simply legendary for his skillful ability to deflect any focus on him and start, in turn, steering compliments towards others. But Mr. Chair, I have the floor for one more minute. Your effective leadership has made a lasting imprint on Randolph-Macon. The physical transformation of our campus speaks for itself. The college could not have a more visionary and supportive chair, and personally, I could not have imagined having a more effective partner in this endeavor than you have been for me and for our faculty and staff. Your meaningful attention to all matters, large and small, combined with your remarkable intelligence, strategic vision, profound generosity, and fundamental kindness are always authentic and deeply consequential. You work tirelessly to ensure that everyone feels consulted, included, and valued. and most people don't know how many hours of phone calls, letter writing, emails, and personal visits you have invested in them and this college. And I've seen much of it, and to borrow a phrase, it has been extraordinary. And while you'll be missed on the Board of Trustees, we know that you personally will remain ever present. For one, Alan, your influence is felt on every corner of this campus with the attention and care you have given every inch of it. Suzette says he loves every blade of grass. And two, we know that you will be on campus often, whether it be to support your Yellow Jackets or just to say hello. The connections you've made at Randolph-Macon these 54 years remain stronger than ever. Thank you for your outstanding service and love for Randolph-Macon, and thank you for being here today. Graduates and guests, it is my very great pleasure to present your 2019 commencement speaker, Mr. Alan B. Rashkind.
Thank you. Thank you. I need to thank President Lindgren for that introduction. The envelope with the cash will be left underneath the door. I want to extend my congratulations to the members of the class of 2019. I am thrilled to be asked to speak to you today, which is 50 years to the day after my classmates and I graduated from Randolph-Macon, June 1st, 1969. I also want to thank my classmates who came back for this reunion, notwithstanding that they knew they would be hearing me speak. I think that's remarkable bravery. I thought about reaching out to all the members of the class of 2019 who I have met or with whom I've interacted, and it's been a great number. But I realized I couldn't do what I need to do and still make the time limit if I did that. So I'll just say thank you to all I've met or interacted with, most of whom I met or interacted with when you were unable to avoid listening to Barkley yell at you from the bookstore, urging you to come in to meet Alan Rashkind, and it is a measure of the respect and affection with which Barkley is held that none of you rolled your eyes or ran screaming from Brock Commons. Speaking of Barkley, which is easy to do, Barkley told me she was not going to sit out here. She wasn't even going to sit on the balcony. She was going to go into the SunTrust Theater so she could see me on the big screen where she could see my big head, to which I said, Barkley, that's not significant. I've had a big head for years. In preparation for this address, I've done a study of commencement addresses, what worked and what didn't, both at Randolph-Macon and other schools. And I've made at least 3 observations, or I've made several observations, but 3 I want to share with you today. One, it is imperative that an alumnus who comes back to speak, especially on a milestone anniversary of graduation, that the alumnus compare what school was like when he was here to what school's like when you were here. Secondly, it's imperative that I quote from wise and inspirational men and women, people like Churchill, Helen Keller, Martin Luther King, and Eleanor Roosevelt. And finally, no group of graduates, not at Randolph-Macon, not at any institution, has ever criticized a commencement speaker for taking too little time to deliver his remarks. Mindful of these patterns, I will make the obligatory comparisons. I'll try not to take too long up here, and I too will quote from some well-known and authoritative luminaries, inspirational folks like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Mark Twain, and Yogi Berra. Before I begin, and recognizing that my good friend Bill Davis, who's a minister, told me that make sure, Alan, that this is a sermon, not a hostage situation. I want to extend this by just a moment to tell you a story. This story is a true story. I know it's true because my wife told me the story. It involves Randolph-Macon almost not at all. And it is not, I repeat, not something you should do in celebration of your graduation. But it is sort of a celebration. And it has a tangential connection to Randolph-Macon in that the two young men, age 7 and 9, that I'm going to talk about, who, to protect their innocence, I will label Abbott and Costello. They have 4 members of their family who went to Randolph-Macon, but it's not my family, I promise you. So Abbott and Costello went with their mother to visit some neighbors. And Abbott and Costello, again, age 7 and 9, go outdoors to play some sort of ball game. I don't know if it's kickball or wiffle ball, it doesn't matter. I know there were bases involved. And after a bit of time, Abbott, the 7-year-old, comes running in and says to his mother, "Mommy, Mommy, you've got to come out quick. Costello is putting Buzz Lightyear on the head of all the kids as they cross the bases. And they don't like it, they're getting mad, and you need to come out here in a hurry." So the mother did exactly what you would think she would do. She ran outside looking for Buzz Lightyear and the problems he was causing. To her surprise, she found no Buzz Lightyear. For that matter, she found no Toy Story figurine. Instead, she found that her 9-year-old, who I'll label Costello, had somehow gotten a hold of a six-pack. And he was attempting to duplicate the sudsy celebrations he had seen following major sports events. And so what he had done is he had opened the cans of beer and he was pouring Bud Light beer on the heads of the people running across the bases. Now, I tell you this with this disclaimer. I am not urging you to celebrate your graduation in that fashion. And if Physical Plant finds Bud Light beer or Buzz Lightyear in the fountain tomorrow morning, I renounce all responsibility. It's on you. The members of this class will be forgiven if they ask, what does someone who graduated not just last century, but a half century ago have to tell us? I mean, are the schools even the same schools? And you would have reason to ask if they are, because they are so different. Yours is a school of almost 1,500. Ours was a school of just barely 800. More importantly, and thank goodness, yours is a co-ed institution. Ours was all male. Not only was ours all male, God forbid you should be found with an unrelated female in your dorm room. In fact, one administrator, I believe, thought that God literally forbid that. I believe he was referring to Leviticus, I'm not sure. It was not a problem for me to keep women out of my dorm room, I assure you. In fact, even my mother didn't want to come in my dorm room, and I don't blame her. The difference in facilities is absolutely astounding. We did not have a campus student center. And there was, believe it or not, no building on our campus named for a Brock, a Birdsong, the Daltons, an Estes, or Andrews. Although we did have the live Ira Lee Andrews III as our Dean of Students, our professor, our mentor, and our friend, and it is to Ira Andrews to whom the 1969 yearbook was dedicated. Wash Frank Hall was not occupied. Thomas Branch was occupied, but it probably should not have been. You probably won't believe this, but there were no phones in the dorm rooms. Not a one. There were barely some payphones. You know what those are, right? There were barely some payphones in some of the halls of some of the dorms. By contrast, of course, the students walk around today holding phones, which aren't really phones, they're computers. I am told by one of my classmates that the computing power of today's iPhone 10 is about 200,000th time what we had in the way of a computer. And yes, we had a computer. Yes, computers had been invented by the 1960s. And yes, we had one at Randolph-Macon. And I mean just one. It was located behind where I now stand. in the bottom floor, as we now like to call it, of Mary Branch. It was the size of a small pickup truck. And you didn't enter the data by keyboard, you did it by punch cards. And it was something we welcomed that we had a computer, proudly. You have much better equipment, trust me. Some of the social norms and pursuits of the students are dramatically different. For instance, I am told, I wouldn't know this, but I am told that you listen to rap, country, and hip hop. I know what we listened to. It was soul music and the Beatles. In fact, as I think back on it, in 1969, our classmates sang and danced to Wilson Pickett's In the Midnight Hour. I hope I will not offend, but so many of my classmates, when I say that, not that many of us often see the midnight hour any longer. In fact, if 60 is the new 40, then for us, 10:30 is the new midnight. The athletic programs of today are blessed with facilities that my classmates would never have dreamed of. And of course, now we field very successful women's teams, which wasn't even possible in our day. Speaking about successful athletic team, the softball team went to the World Series this year, the baseball team went to the World Series last year, and you are to be congratulated. Despite those differences, there is one phenomenon, one characteristic that links athletically the class of 1969 and the class of 2019. Both of you never or almost never lost to Hampton-Sydney College. For those of you not familiar with the expression picking low-hanging fruit, criticizing Hampton-Sydney at a Randolph-Macon graduation is exactly that. So then if these institutions are so different, what is it that I have to say to you about your graduation that's meaningful to your school, given that my school was so different? And I have lots to tell you. And I do, because the schools may look different, but they are very much the same. I wish you had been present last night at the dinner, the banquet for the class of 1969. You would have heard moving, emotional tributes and stories from my class members, starting with the emotional introduction by Rob Dupriest and concluded by the stirring remarks of Bill Spain. And what we were all praising was the spirit that Randolph-Macon students have. You can call it Yellow Jacket spirit, but that doesn't cover it enough. What we discussed and what Bill said more eloquently than I will now is that Randolph-Macon for us, and I think for you too, was a safe place for you to mature. And you matured because of the support you had and the care that was given to you by faculty, administrators, staff, and other students. And I am very proud that that continues and has continued for more than 50 years, and I'm counting on it continuing for well more than another 50 years. And there's another thing that links us together, and this is also critically important. We all learned from an extraordinary teaching faculty dedicated to teaching you. And what they teach you is the modern liberal arts tradition. And the modern liberal arts prepare you for whatever the future may hold, and we don't know what the future will hold. Or as that great wise man Yogi Berra said, the future ain't what it used to be. And learning a liberal arts tradition, learning from a liberal arts tradition, a liberal arts education is even more important today than it was 50 years ago. When I graduated, you could hope, and you had some reason to hope, that you could pick a career or an occupation or some path in the future that you would hang on to for the rest of your work-life expectancy, perhaps even with a benevolent employer or institution. I don't need to tell you people that that's a long ago relic of a bygone era. Today, the graduates are looking forward to careers in fields that haven't been dreamed of yet, in occupations and paths that haven't yet been created for employers or institutions that may not even exist yet. So how much more valuable then is a liberal arts education given to you by a dedicated faculty, which is the best way to guarantee that you will be prepared for whatever the future holds. And I hope you will take the time today or in the near future to thank your faculty members who are seated here in support of you for the support and challenge that they gave you for your 4 years here. And speaking about the faculty, you don't teach here unless you teach well, or at least you don't teach long here unless you teach well. And for well over a century, the work of the faculty here has been described as hand cultivation. Now, hand cultivation has been sort of kicked to the side by some people who say it sounds like coddling. It's not coddling, and if you've studied here, you know that. What it is the hard work. It's figuratively getting down on your hands and knees and paying attention to each item in the garden and seeing that it flourishes. And if, as might have happened on one or two occasions, you didn't get the grade you wanted, or maybe even the grade you thought you deserved, well, maybe, just maybe, it was because on that occasion you were graded on a scale not of that's good enough, but on a scale of you can do better. And because of that, I guarantee you, you will do better. So then if your education was so good and your professors so good, what in the world am I up here doing thinking that I could teach you anything? And the short answer is not much. But I can, I think, remind you of some things that you already know or should have learned, some things that I hope you haven't forgotten, but unfortunately, many of our leaders have forgotten. And when I say what I'm about to say, I know there will be lots of you who will think that what I'm about to say is implied criticism of a given political party, a given office holder, or maybe a specific societal leader. It is not. I assure you, it is not that. It is rather criticism of virtually all of them. So I'd like to ask you to do 4 things. Listen well, disagree without being disagreeable, invest in kindness, and value service for the benefit of others. First, listen well. It's ironic that I would tell you that when you've been sitting here listening now for, a half an hour or more already. But today, really listening is a lost practice. And how can it not be in our instant message, Instagram, breaking news, headline news, chyron flashing, instant gratification, multi-platform, multi-device, limited attention span, instant gratification, attention deficit, disposable society? We're hardly given a chance to listen. Many people get their news and information today from cable TV news. You know what that is? That's 3 or 4 talking heads talking over each other while a 4th or 5th person types on a chyron or a crawl across the screen what they think those people meant or said, and maybe there's a breaking news story at the top that tells you something entirely different. How could we listen well? So I urge you to practice listening well, and I need to admit this, keeping your cell phones in your pocket when other people are talking to you. And I urge you to consider these 2 hints when listening well. Demand that those to whom or with whom you are speaking give you more than sound bites, talking points, or shorthand answers. By shorthand, I mean labels. Labels like left, right, red, blue, liberal, conservative, pro-life, pro-choice. Those labels don't encourage conversation, they short-circuit discussion. Focusing on shorthand labels or the identity of the groups making the statements curtails rather than allows for meaningful dialogue. And try hard on those occasions where you're listening to listen to others with whom you might not agree. If you only listen to those with whom you agree, then you are possibly sentencing yourself never to learn anything new. And in my book, that's a sentence that is cruel and unusual punishment. Disagree without being disagreeable. A most disappointing practice in today's public discourse is the frequency with which our leaders resort to name-calling other than statesmanship. Your education empowers you to do better and to insist that others do better. If the only support you have for your position is to call those who disagree with you names or attach pejorative labels to them, I have two suggestions for you. One, pick a new position because yours isn't very good. Or two, hone your debating skills. If I were not so intent on civility, I would offer a third option, but I won't say you should just shut up. In essence, though, I am arguing for civility in your dealings with others, especially in your dealings with others with whom you disagree. What I want to ask is, when did it become unwelcome? When did it become unsafe to discuss differences in politics, religion, race, or other potentially controversial issues for fear that a fight will break out or that offense will be taken? And why did it become so? I submit it has become so because we have forgotten how to disagree without being disagreeable. Civility may not come off as sexy, it rarely does, but it always comes off as classy. If more people would try it, we would have more meaningful discussions and we might even get some problems solved. Third, and this is by far the easiest, invest in kindness. Mark Twain said, and on this occasion he was not joking, kindness can be seen by the blind and heard by the deaf. Think about the power of that observation. Think about the power of mere kindness. And kindness costs you nothing, and yet it is so valuable to those who really need it. It costs you nothing to recognize the valuable contributions of the people who make the way for you. Like Chair Sue Schick did. She doesn't have a she said. Chair Schick did when she thanked the people who work here for making this graduation an outdoor event today. They deserve your thanks, as do many, many people deserve your kindness. Now, when I talk about kindness, I am not urging you to initiate group hugs with strangers on a New York subway. In fact, I am not urging you to initiate group hugs with anybody other than close relatives and those from whom you have notarized permission. But I am saying that there's room for giving a stranger a warm greeting or a smile on occasions where we might have been inclined to look the other way, avoiding eye contact. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, "Human kindness has never weakened the stamina or softened the fiber of a free people. A nation does not have to be cruel to be tough." I submit that works for people, nations, and especially for their leaders. I hope you will remember to invest in kindness. And finally, value service for the benefit of others. There is much discussion today about who has the privilege and what that means. I'm not going to wade into the debate to the extent that privilege is deemed a pejorative. You have privileges. You are, or will be in moments, a college graduate. And that gives you benefits that lots of people in this world do not have. Use those benefits to help other people, not just yourself. Now, I realize that in terms of career and life choices, you are undoubtedly thinking short term. But I hope you'll take some time to plan for the future, to use those privileges for the benefit of others. Fine if you plan to out-invest Warren Buffett, if you plan to buy an NFL team, if you plan to start up a low-price retailer and make it a $500 a Fortune 500 company. I welcome that, and when you do, give back to the college. But few of us can hope to have Bill Gates' financial fortune. But each of us can realistically expect to volunteer for a leadership position and spend time and energy for a cause that will help others, privileged or not. So volunteer to do meaningful work. This is your choice, but at your church, your synagogue, your mosque, your temple, a local food bank, or other charitable or nonprofit organization. You choose. Yes, even participate in the political process, as long as you promise me that you won't do it just with the goal of getting yourself reelected. Whatever you join, whatever position you accept, do it for the right reasons, not, as Trustee Emeritus Whiting Chisholm said, to pad your obituary. Now, I imagine there's not a single member of the class of 2019 who's thinking about your obituary right now, and I don't want you to. But I want you to imagine how much richer your life will be if you dedicate some of your time, some of your education, some of your advantages to benefiting others. I know that every one of you hopes that you will be successful. And who knows who will be what. But I do know this, and I can guarantee it. If you excel at service for the benefit of others, you will be extraordinarily successful. I pause for a moment to go off script. This is the third time I've given a speech in the last 30 days in front of a relatively large audience where my wife was present. On the two prior occasions, I said, among other things, I love my profession, I love Randolph-Macon, I love my family, and I love my wife. My wife, who is a very good guide, urged me not to say that again today. She said the graduates of the class of 2019 don't give a crap about that. And so, obedient to my wife's advice, I won't again say that I love Randolph-Macon, I love my family, and I love my wife. So please do me a favor as I get ready to sit down blessedly. Please try to remember these four things. Listen well, disagree without being disagreeable, invest in kindness, and value service for the benefit of others. If you do, you will be eminently successful. Your friends, your family, your classmates, your college will be extremely proud of you. So as I conclude today, I take you back not 50 years, but more like 43, to a classic rock anthem you may not listen to anymore. I want to make a comparison to the fictional Hotel California. Randolph-Macon is like that Hotel California. You can check out any time you want, but you can never leave. And that is because as you check out today, a part of Randolph-Macon will go with you. And no matter how far you go, you will always remain here in part, both literally on the bricks you walked over this morning, and because your history is now a part of the history of this enduring institution. And that's not just a good thing, that's a great thing. Because not just today, not just tomorrow, but for the rest of your life, you will be able to say, it's a great day to be a YJ. Thank you and congratulations.
As you can well imagine, we've been blessed today to have those thoughts from a great Yellow Jacket, but more importantly, a great man. And a man who has almost every form of Yellow Jacket memorabilia that you could have. But this is a book of photos from his career, from Randolph-Macon, a one-off, if you will. Enjoy it. Congratulations on your retirement, and thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. As many of you know, one of our most respected and beloved professors, Dr. Bruce M. Unger, passed away in 2008 after nearly 40 years of service as a teacher, scholar, mentor, and colleague at Randolph-Macon College. And class of 2019, I wish you had had a chance to know Bruce Unger, or to have been taught by him the way that my husband Will and I were. As I understand, even Alan was in his first class. Is that right, Al? Yes. Yes. Well, Scanlon's. Excuse me. We all know Bruce Unger. He enriched our campus by his presence and was a model on how to conduct one's life with dignity and purpose. One former student commented of Dr. Unger, "For those he taught, he made us better students. For those he mentored, he made us better people." We memorialize Bruce's wonderful legacy with the Bruce M. Unger Award. The Unger Award is given to retiring faculty with 10 or more years of service to the college. The award consists of a certificate and monetary award made possible by generous contributions in Professor Unger's memory. Today, we recognize a talented and dedicated professor and administrator with this award. Dr. William T. Bill Franz served the college faithfully for 36 years as a professor of physics, including 10 years as Vice President of Academic Affairs and Provost. A gifted teacher, prodigious scholar, and thoughtful leader, we are so grateful to Bill for his unwavering commitment to this institution and for strongly upholding the tradition of quality for which our faculty are known. Provost Franz, will you join us at the platform?
Congratulations, Bill. And now I would like to invite graduating seniors Saunders Riley, Daryl Williams, and Faith Fox to come forward to present the senior gift to the college. And would Society of Alumni President Hunter Lehman, class of 2000, join us as well.
Good morning, President Lindgren, distinguished guests, and fellow graduates of the class of 2019. The purpose of the Senior Class Gift Campaign is to educate our class about the importance of giving back to Randolph-Macon. Each senior was asked to make a donation to the college, and the class of 2019 gift reflects the collective sum of all of our contributions. On behalf of the Senior Class Gift Committee, I would like to present President Lindgren and Randolph-Macon College the 2019 Senior Class gift of over $10,850 from 87% of the class as of this morning, June 1st.
By giving so generously, our class has shown our commitment to the college and reaffirmed our understanding of the universal truth, that no matter what great heights we will reach in the future or in our lifetime, no one does it alone. Many graduates are here today because someone gave them the chance to succeed through their generous gifts. Now, it is our chance to do so, to continue providing opportunities for Randolph-Macon students to come. The Senior Class Gift Committee would also like to thank everyone who supported the campaign this year. Best wishes in all your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Now, before you leave the stage, just let me say on behalf of the faculty and staff and our current students our alumni and friends, but most especially the students yet to come, who will now stand on your shoulders. And thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your interest in giving back to the college in recognition of all of those who made possible your great experience here. And thank you for your leadership in this important campaign. Congratulations. Now I'd like to ask the president of our Society of Alumni, Hunter Lehman, to make a special announcement to the senior class.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Good morning. Guys, I have great news. We're almost there. But it is my great honor to welcome you, the class of 2019, into the Randolph-Macon College Society of Alumni. Our Alumni Association is the 6th oldest in the nation, founded in 1839. Throughout the decades, our alumni have earned many accomplishments. In the coming years, I am confident that you, as alumni, will add to our collective success. On my own graduation day, I remember the excitement and nervousness that I felt. In the years that followed, I came to appreciate the fact that the entire college community helped me build a solid foundation, preparing me for the road ahead. On this day, I want you to take comfort in the knowledge that the alumni of Randolph-Macon are poised to help you along the way. Now, before you walk across this stage to accept your diploma, I'm going to challenge you, much like some of the previous speakers have challenged you today. Please contribute your time, your resources, and your energy to the college in the years ahead. Doing so will strengthen our community, it will strengthen this great college, and it will make possible future generations of Yellow Jackets to have the same experiences that we now find so special and that we have shared together. So on behalf of all those that have walked before you, congratulations on this significant milestone, and welcome to the Society of Alumni.
(1839). Dr. Reynolds leaned over and told me he was there at the founding of the Alumni Association here. As our senior speaker comes up to the stage, I want to tell you a little bit about her. She has made the most of her experience at Randolph-Macon College. And in doing so, she has enriched our entire college community. Rowan Hierholzer, a Norfolk, Virginia native, graduates today with a double major in political science and Spanish. And from almost the moment she arrived on campus, Rowan made an outstanding impression. She was a rare freshman, hired as a college tour guide. She has also served as a student ambassador for our EDGE program, a member of the Young Democrats, Pi Sigma Alpha Political Science Honor Society, and the National Residence Hall Honorary. Rowan took full advantage of the Randolph-Macon experience, engaging in many opportunities to learn outside of the classroom, including a semester studying abroad in Santiago, Chile, and completing 2 internships in legislative and political offices in Washington, D.C. and in Ashland. She credits her success at Randolph-Macon to the support of dedicated faculty and the profound generosity of her scholarship donors. Rowan is a recipient of the Ira M. Lechner Scholarship, the James K. Maharg Jr. Scholarship, and the Harvey A. Neville Scholarship. And looking ahead, Rowan's future is indeed bright. She is not only secured, but has already started her first job, working in special events and fundraising for the Virginia chapter of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. We are proud to have shared this time at Randolph-Macon with Rowan and know that her hard work and accomplishments will continue to make this college very proud of her. Class of 2019, please welcome your senior speaker, Rowan Hierholzer.
President Lindgren, members of the Board of Trustees, our honored guests, faculty, family, friends, and finally, the class of 2019. I am beyond delighted and so incredibly honored to be here, speaking to you all on this special day. Today, June 1st, 2019, is a day we will always remember, a day forever reminding us of the perseverance, dedication, and love that were the driving forces behind our current and future successes. I was told by a dear friend, a fellow graduate of Randolph-Macon, who is here today, that any quality commencement speech must have a beginning that is both nostalgic and heavily anecdotal. And yet, if you'll forgive me, I'd like to completely ignore this advice and get right down to my main theme, success. Success is one of those words that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, which is why I believe it would be worthwhile to think about it more on this day, and why I ask you all to think about it more with me. Writing a successful speech isn't just about putting my ideas on paper and conveying them to a targeted audience. It's just as much about the ideas as it is about finding a voice with which to convey these ideas. But I think it's important to point out that for us, the graduating class of 2019, we have not just succeeded in finishing 4 years of undergraduate education. In the whole scheme of life, this is just a drop in the bucket. We have also begun to find our collective voice. We should recognize that our accomplishments right here, right now, are some of the biggest for us to date, but we should also consider how to move forward, how to find a voice to carry us through the next chapter of our lives. I think Jimmy Fallon, when speaking to a high school graduating class, had a pretty good lesson to teach on living in the present moment and being proud of our achievements thus far. He said, most commencement speakers, they'll get up here and they'll talk in the future tense. You will succeed, you will make us proud, and you will change the world. Most commencement speakers say, you are the future. But I'm not gonna say that because you're not the future. You are the present, you are succeeding, you are making us proud, you are changing the world, so keep changing the world and keep making us proud. Present successes for us RMC students may include surviving 4 years of overcaffeinated all-nighters, searching for that perfect parking spot when you're already 10 minutes late for class, and staying ahead of the strange patterns of weather in Virginia that have kept Dean Asdell on his toes, like this morning. For me personally, succeeding in the present may have been not falling out of my lofted bed freshman year, or not taking a power nap during yoga class, or maybe getting to Miss Connie's omelet line in Estes right before the entire football team. Sorry, guys. Or how about receiving a full tuition scholarship thanks to an awesome advisor, or stepping out of my comfort zone when I studied abroad in a country halfway around the world. As you can see, it's the little successes that have made my time here at Randolph-Macon special, as I'm sure many students can agree. Our achievements throughout the last 4 years on this campus should all be recognized. But let's not forget that these milestones are helping us to find our voices, to forge new ways to change the world, both globally and individually. During our time in Ashland, Randolph-Macon has given us a structured, stable, and peaceful environment, allowing many of us to escape the chaos of our ever-changing world. It has also allowed us to figure out who we are and who we want to become. The hyperconnectivity of our modern society through social media, the news, the internet, has created an informational fire hose that is pointed directly at us at all times. Aggressive as this constant stream of data may be, on this campus, we have all been provided with respite, time to learn, time to laugh, time for making memories, while also taking time to reflect on the world we live in, to learn how and where to plug in a thoughtful and beneficial way, which we should all consider a huge success. This never-ending flow of news and ideas has created an environment where no one voice is ever heard without 5 million others chiming in, where we are owned by the ding of our devices, allowing no time for ourselves. This lack of time for self-reflection to develop our own original ideas, combined with our societal need for acceptance and success on social media, poses key questions of how can it be possible for us to carve out our niche? How can we leave our mark in this world? How can we have a voice if nothing we do is considered unique? And there may not be a correct answer to that question, but Randolph-Macon, being a small school, has given its students insight into what it means to have original ideas, an opportunity for those ideas to be recognized and celebrated, which has given us the tools to have an impact in a diverse world. Because we are members of a small liberal arts school, some people may consider us sheltered or privileged. I, on the other hand, would consider us to be one collective, well-trained mind. The daily guidance that we've received on an individual and group basis from our faculty advisors, staff members, and yes, Ms. Barkley from the school store has given me some very valuable advice, and others from the Ashland community, they've all allowed us to cultivate these standout ideas, pushing us to develop some sense of originality, and thus to create a voice for ourselves. But really, how can we define our authenticity, our identity, in a world where it is so easy to be overlooked? Some may seek a higher power for guidance or fulfillment of their sense of self, while some may seek to serve humankind. Others on this winding road of life may look no further than the amount of likes they get on their Instagram photos. But regardless, all of these outlets used to establish our identity have been modeled, nurtured, and honed in our time here at Randolph-Macon. We have been given the opportunity on this campus to use our positive online presence to benefit others, to collectively serve our local community, and to be accepted no matter what our faith or ethnic background may be. Meeting and hearing the voices of people outside the center of the universe has allowed us to broaden our global perspective and ground our determination to build relationships in a universally mindful way. Many students, like myself, had the opportunity to study abroad during our 4 years here. We were given the chance to step out of our comfort zone, wielding the tools RMC provided us with, learning to adapt to different languages, customs, and cultures all around the world. And for those who took advantage of the other opportunities Randolph-Macon has to offer, such as completing research projects through SURF, or maybe participating in the various organizations on campus, building personal relationships here at Randolph-Macon, and maybe being a part of one of our very successful athletic teams, go YJs. I'm sure we can all agree that those opportunities are comparable to and have helped to develop broad horizons for those students involved, while also setting them up for success in their life experiences. But now that our time at Randolph-Macon has come to an end, we will wake up tomorrow and probably feel no different, but in reality, everything is going to change. We have completed the prescribed route that society expects of us young people, and now we have the opportunity to move forward using our education, our achievements, and our cultivated global voice to be more than what society expects of us, to make all of the time and effort invested in our education seem worthwhile. Bringing all of this back to how one person can define success, define their originality, I think of a day of success in our lives as college graduates. We have been fortunate enough to have access to an education and will go on to pursue our dream careers and possibly live and work in different countries all over the world. However, we should all pause and take time to look at the bigger picture here, because these things, these dreams, these achievements that my fellow graduates and I will hopefully experience are inconceivable to people living in nations where basic necessities and human rights are ignored, where one family's biggest achievement may be the ability to feed their children, or another man's work or search for work and shelter, or one woman among millions who has to fight for equality. These are the successes that even if we cannot comprehend, we must fight for and be a voice for, because these voices will never be heard. A Randolph-Macon professor shared a quotation with me that I found fitting to use here. The author, Ramon Sender, writes, "El fuerte que llora con el débil, ese vivirá." The strong one who weeps with the weak, he shall live on in memory and in tradition. While today is a day to celebrate and rejoice in our collective achievements, it is important for us to remain advocates for the invisible, the voiceless, the unheard, people who will never know what it's like to receive even the most rudimentary education, let alone hold a college degree. And let us remember that this fine country that we live in was founded on the principles of freedom and justice for all. And one of the most memorable sights upon arriving at Ellis Island for millions of immigrants who came here seeking a better life was a line from Emma Lazarus' sonnet at the feet of the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. I have said all of this to say, success can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And from the bottom of my heart, it is my sincerest hope that you all will go forth and prosper. But let us not forget to try to help those without voices to speak up for themselves, to help others in their pursuit of happiness. And let us discover new ways to have a positive voice, not just in our own lives, but in the lives of those around us. Tomorrow is the first day of the rest of our lives. What will your voice be?
Rowan, thank you so much. You certainly personify success, the success of all your classmates, and that you enjoy personally. It is now my pleasure to present the Murray Medal Award. The H.W. Murray Medal for Scholarship was established in 1889 by a legacy of Mrs. W.T. Goodwin of Louisa County, Virginia, in memory of her father. It is the valedictorian award presented to the member of the graduating class having the highest cumulative academic average. This year, I'm delighted to announce that we have two students with identical GPAs who will both be receiving the H.W. Murray Medal Award. Would Erin Margaret Connolly and Allie Marie Fay please come forward and be recognized? Now is the time. It is time to confer degrees on our terrific graduating seniors. President Lindgren, I invite you to come to the center podium. Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Science please rise? President Lindgren, I have the honor to present to you certain candidates for the degree Bachelor of Science. The registrar has certified that each of these candidates has completed all of the requirements for the degree, and the faculty has voted unanimously to award these degrees.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty, and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees and the Commonwealth of Virginia, I am pleased to confer upon you the degree Bachelor of Science with all the rights, privileges, and honors appertaining thereto. Please move your tassel from your right to the left, and congratulations.
Will the sponsors of these graduates please rise and hood your graduates? Thank you, graduates. You may be seated. Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Arts please rise? President Lindgren, I have the honor to present to you certain candidates for the degree Bachelor of Arts. The registrar has certified that each of these candidates has completed all the requirements for the degree, and the faculty has voted unanimously to award these degrees.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees and the Commonwealth of Virginia, I am pleased to confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts with all the rights, privileges, and honors appertaining thereto. Please move your tassel from your right to your left, and congratulations.
Will the sponsors please rise and hood your graduates? Thank you, graduates. You may be seated. Marshals, would you please escort the graduates to the platform to receive their diplomas? Julia Karis Kinder. Dea Santi Alkarwani. Ashley Paige Bryant. Sarah Beth Simring. Mariah Collins Clark. Erin Anna Kober. Hannah Elise Mercer. Haley Noel Moore. Ryan Ott. P.J. Patel. Jose Perdomo Trejo. Madeline Grace Purcell. Luna Tran. Ty Joseph Anderson. Bryn Reed Browning. Cole Monroe Churchill. Christopher Patterson Cox. Ashley Judith Diane Easterling. Lauren Elizabeth Estelle. Cole Stewart Farnsworth. Emily Rebecca Fitzwater. Lindsay Fraser Morris Hamilton. Kayla Victoria Johnson. Melissa Ann Magnuson. Olivia Maria Mott. Owen L. Ritter Vopel. Mackenzie Lee Wilson. Claudia Alvarez. William Reardon Baxter. Darian Marquise Bennett. Kira Simone Beverly. Nicole Jenna Brem. Sherry Lynn Bryant. Sabrina Noel Byram. Victoria Elizabeth Carbo. Justin Philip Carliti II. Jake Redmond Charney. Peyton Moncure Chichester IV. Brandy Lynn Clark. Taylor Lynn Gordon. Cyrene Gulmamin. Michael Wendell Harrison Lane. Aaron Joseph Holzhauer. Eric Thomas Hoy. Hannah Jane Jones. Margaret Michaela Keeler. Joshua Koenig Lovejoy. Olivia Hoffman Most. Kaylee Hannah Melanson. Grant Millidan. Ivana Rajani Moore. Shannon Eliza Murphy. Jordan Christian Pavey. Emily Gwen Ploppert. Jessica Tatiana Ramirez. Saunders McAlexander Riley. Edward Bernard Saunders III. Connor Stephen Seif. At a special ceremony held yesterday on this campus, the following graduate was commissioned an officer in the United States Army. Lieutenant Lyra Elizabeth Lee Shoemate. Nicholas Seiden. Matthew Slicker. Haley Alana Stein. Matthew Quinn Sirach. Nathan William Thorpe. Emma Marie Tiernan. Melissa Sage Vilgatz. Candace Brooke Whittemore. Savannah Elise Wood. Ann Elizabeth Woodfin. Kiwi Baylor. Madison Brever Burns. Sue Tsai. Allie Marie Fay. Erin Margaret Connolly. Caitlin Rose Jordan. Grace Eleanor McIntyre. Christian Ray Redman. Gabriella Lee Tersini. Casey Marie Abernathy. Natalie Aguilar Diaz. Rebecca Helen Bell. Lillian K. Bergloff. Jenna Sterling Burns. Jolene Ivy Davis. Victoria Eileen Drake. Sarah Jean Freilich. Zoe Angeliki Kalatas. Caroline Claire Koneski. Jonathan Brady Manuel. Jordan Sidney McCall. Tanner Scott McClelland. Sean Andrew McDonald. Jonathan Daniel Noel. Zachary William Olmsted. Grace Lee Parr. Haley Michelle Sane. Jennifer Naomi Sarbo. William Lewis Sheehan Jr. Sarah Elizabeth Trainum. Jonathan Richardson Tyler. Jordan Harrison Wright. Stephanie Monique Yeager. Hannah Bondurant Arnold. Dakota Page Babcock. Matthew John Blaze. Tia Monet Booker. Christine Leolia Burke. Tulio Graciano da Silva Santos. Mathieu Desrochers. Julian Gibson Drew. Ryan Matthew Eddy. Shelby Lee Ethington. Faith Lynn Brooke Fox. Sean Gregory Gordon. Marissa Gianna Graziosi. Brianne Kamen Habit. Lydia Hall. Allison Lee Harris. Jonathan Hoykert. Rowan E. Hierholzer. Stephen Michael Matthew Hunt. Mary Virginia Kelly. Mia Noel Cook. Kata Johanna Guliam Einen. Daniel Scott LaChance. Jacob Allen LaMarche. Brianna Chanel Lyde. Alyssa Marie Long. John Joseph McCanan. Katarina Lilia Marling. Marguerite Kira Mata. Joseph Andrew McBride. Rachel Augusta Moran. Andrew Douglas Mullen. Summer Elise Myers. Natalie Vergara Realubit. Damon Anthony Reed. Marissa Nicole Riley. Lauren Elise Robinson. Abigail Lee Roth. Kenna Dawn Rush. Emmy Elise Satoff. Paige Elizabeth Sellers. Laura Greer Smith. Patrick Christos Salamita. Veronica Ann Thomas. Dylan Wayne Thompson. Justin Blake Yowell. Christian Andres Abrigo. Monteith Lavelle Adams. Anna Barbara Allen. Michael Brett Altobello. Jerry Alonzo Anderson Jr. Alexis Michael Bailey. Jordan Lawrence Bailey. Joel Thomas Barron. Amanda K. Baumgartner. Cameron Thompson Bell. Andrew August Bender. Marisha Yasmin Berry. Shane Tecumseh Berry. Jonas Blanco. Tatiana Louise Bopp. Stevenson William Botten. Alexandra Grace Botts. James Brooks. Ryan David Burns. Jeffrey Michael Butler. Ethan McLennan Bird. Holly Logan Calhoun. Vershawn Kelsey Carrington. Megan Olivia Cassida. Christopher Thompson Serena. Jasper Cordell Charity III. Chase Kaufman Childers. Isaiah Christmas. Brianna Morgan Chufo. Connor Michelle Clay. Megan Elizabeth Collins. Catherine Sain Condiles. Melissa Marie Cook. Lindsay McCrae Koval. Keller Elise Craig. Carrie Ann Cronin. Mary Catherine Crook. Philip Chandler Kernow. Deja Anaya Dennis. Arjun Dolakia. Tien Hu Do. Ryan Russell Doggett. James Patrick Dotter. Jackson Taylor Engels. Austin Clark Evans. Zachary Douglas Evans. Christian Parker Fagan. Jacoby T. Freeman Jr. Tanner Erickson Fuller. Alexander J. Fernier. Avery T. E. Garnica. Colleen Elizabeth Geary. Sabrina Valerie Elizabeth Gomez. Robert Sargent Patterson Gregory. Corbett Kitchell Grow. Andrew Thomas Jamasi. Kayla Marie Hageman. Jacob Haynes. Alexandra Nicole Hanks. Shamari Leroy Hargrove. Ashley Ray Harrison. Caitlin Elizabeth Harrison. Robertson James Harvey. Sarah Bassam Hatoum. Ryan Chad Hickman. Caitlin Latrell Hoagland. Andrew Richard Hoag. Cameron Jefferson Holloway. Noah Theodore Holman. Elizabeth Ann Hudgens. Abigail Elizabeth Hudson. Hunter Emerson Hughes. Jacob Bryce Jewell. Alexa George Jones. Jacob Samuel Jones. Rachel Bryn Jones. Summer Ashley Jordan. Joshua Salvatore Kawapua. Courtney Lynn Kaufman. Candace Marie Kibler. Catherine Rebecca Clock. Megan Claire Knapp. Kay Cameron Knight. Abdul Karoma Jr. John Kelly Lambert. Kathleen Kennedy Lampy. Gabriel LaPlante. Brittany Ann LaPrade. Isabel Grace Lee. Madeline L. Lassane. Victoria Renee Lewin. Eliza Hollister Lewis. Amy Celeste Little. Lucy Elizabeth Lloyd. Elizabeth Grace McGuire. Alexis Janae Mallory. Jacob Lee Manbeck. Seth Montgomery Manis. Kathleen Denise Manos. Preston Thomas Mapp. Jordan Lynn Marjoram. Mary Alexis Martin. Quentin Marquise Mayo. Rachel Lynn McCaffrey. Brian Grant McCarthy. Jack Gargan McCarthy. Gavin F. McCool. Margaret Fiona McCormick. Maxwell Bitsko McDonald. Christopher Nattery McMillan. Caitlin Wells Meinzer. Grayson Joseph Medulla. Ethan Jacob Miller. Allison Ann Mitchell. Akari Momose. Christopher Jarrell Monroe. William Jarrett Mustaine. Luke Brookman Neely. Alexander Joseph Nelson. Kaylee Marie O'Keefe. Sarah Louise Olmsted. Kaylee Elizabeth Olson. Lindsay Oteza. Emily Page Palmer. Ian Wade Pape. Noel Faye Pereira. Rachel Elise Paz. Jair Marquise Perry. Alfred Robinson Price. Jackson Meade Prophet. Tristan S. Ramsey. Richard Anthony Rossetti III. Josephine Vergara Realubit. Angela Mercedes Richards. Ruby Rim. Nicholas Paul Roth III. Bradford Waits Robertson. Cassidy Gray Robinson. Robert Caldwell Rushton IV. Cole Stephen Sikowski. William Schick. Rojalyn Shaheen Zycourtney Scott. Caroline Brooke Sedell. Thomas Henry Selman IV. Lance Steele Sexton. Melanie Page Slaughter. Harrison Christian Rogers Smith. Anna Mabry Spall. Christopher Michael Staten. Aaron Stevens. Brandon Thomas Sulcer. Philip Marshall Taylor. Morgan Nicole Thomas. Dylan Clay Tolley. Carter Clark Tyree. Joseph Parker Vaughn. Jayla Shea Wade. Arik Christian Wagner. Elizabeth Michelle Walker. Timothy David Ward. Wyatt William Waring. Michael Alexander Warren. Michael J. Warren. Madison Claire Wiesner. Benton Birdsong Hawks Wentz. William Bennett White. Hunter Glenn Lee Harrison Wickline. Daryl Alexander Williams. Tyler R. Wilson. Sophia Rose Wisniewski. Kelsey Elizabeth Wisner. Anthony Michael Woods. Caroline Michelle Ray. The class of 2019 has graduated.
To the Randolph-Macon College class of 2019, it is now time for you to take leave of this wonderful place. You have received an extraordinary education here, and I trust who you are and what you take away from this special college will hold you in good stead in all you do going forth. Here, you should have, above everything, learned how to learn and make yourself a pledge today. While your undergraduate days have reached their conclusion, your days of being a student will never end. And I hope the values you have refined and maybe even developed here will help you be the strong leaders in our society and in our world that we so need. Before we leave today, we have two more important Randolph-Macon traditions to celebrate. You graduates would simply not be where you are today were it not for the loving support of others, many others. I speak of all those who have encouraged and supported you graduates so magnificently. the mothers and fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers and brothers and sisters and loved ones all, so that they can receive the enthusiastic appreciation from you for these past 4 years and before. From the class of 2019, would those loved ones of any graduate here today, would those loved ones please stand and let the rest of us applaud you. Thank you. And by the way, graduates, you have another special reason to give thanks to your parents today, as the Randolph-Macon Parents Board, inspired by Professor Emeritus Robert Barrett, has made possible that special honored graduates brick walkway with your names inscribed that you traversed to get to the Brown Fountain Plaza this morning. We certainly thank your generous parents for their gifts to make that walkway possible. Others who have lifted you graduates up on their shoulders for these past 4 years include the superb faculty of this institution and our caring staff. And what I know best about this college, and Rowan expressed it eloquently, is that seniors value most your connection with your dedicated and outstanding Randolph-Macon faculty, who in turn have so strongly valued the well-being and success of you, their students, so that this important group too can be recognized by both the graduating class and your parents and loved ones, and to accept our grateful appreciation for a job well done. I ask all faculty and staff to stand and receive your thanks. Now, none of us would be who we are and where we are without our mentors. And I know that you graduates have your mentors to thank for today's important milestone, including special faculty and staff and coaches and members of your family and friends. And I encourage you to do just that. That is, thank them and thank them early and often for what they have meant to you. We simply do not do that enough. And today is a special reminder of how important it is. Your senior class has been blessed to have fabulous new facilities here, 14 in total. But you have also started to see new facilities being built, including a new nursing building to be open next year. And as you leave this place today, I know you will continue to do your part to make sure Randolph-Macon College, now your alma mater, keeps getting better. That is in your interest now more than ever. Your splendid class gift, along with that support of the class of 1969 with whom you're sharing this special day, already sets you apart in the annals of RMC history and bodes well, very well, for the future of your alma mater. So keep giving back. By doing so, you honor yourselves and those who came before you, like those alumni celebrating with you today, and so many others who have given and done so much to make your own experience possible. And like them, you too will now be the shoulders on which future generations of Yellow Jackets will stand, and I know that your shoulders will be mighty ones indeed. And our greatest hope on this special day for you, our new graduates, is that you will also keep getting better. And in order to do so, One of the skills you'll need to draw on and keep developing is being more resilient. Harvard Business School professor Rosabeth Moss Kanter describes resilience as the new skill for the contemporary workforce, not just nice to have, but absolutely necessary. And I am convinced that you, being a part of a more resilient society, is going to take that responsibility. Take the responsibility for what happens to you, focusing foremost on what you can influence, and not giving in to the all too human temptation of focusing on things you cannot control. Before his election as South Africa's first black president, Nelson Mandela spent over 27 years in prison, often in deplorable conditions. And it is said that throughout his incarceration, he kept at his side his favorite poem, Invictus, by William Ernest Henley, from which he drew rich inspiration. When he lost courage or felt like giving up, he would quietly recite it to himself, and it would help him keep going. And the poem's famous last lines are, "It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." I hope you too can keep these powerful words to heart. And so, to the Randolph-Macon class of 2019, I offer my heartiest congratulations and Godspeed.
Following the recession of the platform party, everyone here is invited to our luncheon in Crenshaw Gymnasium. Senior Brianna Lyde will lead us in the Alma Mater following the benediction. So please stand and remain standing. Now you have graduated. You are being launched out into the world for the next part of your life's journey. Go in the knowledge that you do not go alone. God will go with you, whatever your tomorrows will bring. Amen.